What's up, everyone? I hope you guys are all having a great weekend. I'm going to record this a little bit early here. This will be my game plan for the week ahead, my watch list for Monday morning. And guess what? January is in the books. I can't believe it. We are rolling right here into February. Now, I made a prediction in December that because the market had been so hot, October, November, December, that we were going to see that momentum carry into the new year. My prediction was that January was going to be really strong, and I expected continued momentum through February and March. Now, so far at this point, that prediction has been right. Of course, February and March are to be determined. But it wouldn't surprise me if momentum slows down a little bit April, May, and June, and then we have a little bit of a lull in the summer. So right now, for me, this is the time to strike while the iron's hot and to be super aggressive. January was a fantastic month. And what I want to do in this episode for you guys is help you create a profile of the best types of stocks to look for in February. And we're going to base this profile on the stocks that I made the most money on in January. So we're going to go through this together. This profile is going to benefit me as much as it will you, because this is going to help me understand what I need to be looking for bright and early on Monday morning. So let's go ahead and jump onto the screen share. I'm going to pull down my calendar for the month of January. Over $400,000 in gross profit. What a fantastic month. Now, I'm not going to sit here and just brag about how much money I've made. Let's really get into the metrics of where this profit came from. Of course, I've been trading for a long time, and many of you guys know that. I funded my first account in 2001, more than 20 years ago. So I've been through a lot of ups and downs in the market. Of course, I didn't trade all through the entire 20-year stretch, but I've definitely seen the low points, and I'm grateful right now that we're on an upswing and we've got some serious momentum. So let's start by looking at days of the week. Let's just start kind of high level. So the first observation is that Monday is my slowest day of the week. And so what should we expect for Monday morning? Let's take it a little slow. Now, it's not surprising that Monday is a slow day for me, and here's the reason. I have the mentality of trading every single day with the goal of being consistent and the goal of being green. It's like really that's kind of that simple. I recently did an interview with one of my Warrior Pro graduates who's earned his $250,000 badge, and he had on his desk is like a sticky note that he had made, and he said, I can't remember it word for word, but it was not losing is more important than winning. So a very defensive kind of approach to trading. Just don't lose. Now, some people would be like, that's like skiing down the mountain and being like, don't hit a tree, don't hit a tree. And your mindset's like focusing on trees. So that doesn't work for everybody. But on the other hand, I do think there's something to be said for being defensive when it comes to trading. And if you come in with a perspective, I really don't want to lose, it's also going to get you focused on, I need to trade the type of stocks that have the highest probability of working. I need to be disciplined. I can't take unnecessary risk. And so because I have this goal of being consistent every year, high level, I want to be green every year. The only years that I was red was at the very beginning of my career. And I'm fortunate for that because I've known some traders who have made over $1 million, 5, 10, 15 million, and then they'll have a big red year, even after having that big success, right? They get overconfident, they make big mistakes, and it's a major hit to your confidence when you have a red year after having a stretch of consecutive green years. So it's very important for me to preserve that mental state of mind, that confidence. Green years, green months, green weeks, green days, right? Now, I understand I can't always be green. By the way, you'll never see me wearing red. I'm very superstitious. Sometimes someone will get me like a red shirt and I'm like, it's the thought that counts, because I can't wear that. You know what? Not in this economy, not in this market. I can't take that risk. But just like all the great performance sports and athletes, I'm a little bit superstitious because, there's a certain portion of this that is out of our control. You know what I mean? Like, we'll either get great stocks on the scanners and we'll get great price action, or we won't. Now, we are in control of how much we're willing to risk. So starting on Monday morning, I kind of take the approach of it's the beginning of the week. The last thing I want to do is take a huge loss on Monday, because then what happens? I'm going to spend the rest of the week just in the shadow of that loss. I've been through this enough times that I know that's going to mess with my head. It's going to make me more conservative on Tuesday. I might second guess stuff and hesitate, and then it ends up working. And then I overcompensate by finally capitulating and getting in too high, and then I lose again. Now I've got 2 red days in a row. And it's very easy to get off your center. If you ever see like a sports game where you have a team that in the last 15 minutes just totally throws it all, everything just, they start flailing. They get desperate. They just start throwing interceptions. It's like, this is crazy. And it just all falls apart. Well, that can happen when you start to have a loss of confidence. So confidence is very important for me. And that means starting Mondays a little bit more conservatively. And then if I have a good day on Monday, then now I've got some confidence going into Tuesday. I've got a good day Tuesday, got some confidence going into Wednesday. Got a good day Wednesday, got some confidence going into Thursday. Look at this, stair-stepping up. And I'm feeling more and more confident. And then finally Friday, boom, stand up and get a home run trade. Now it just so happens that I had my biggest winner of the month on Friday. And that kind of skews my metrics because this is actually not what my metrics look like over a longer period of time. Over a longer period of time of like the last 12 months, you'll see that Mondays are slower, but actually it turns out that Wednesdays are my best day, statistically. And so we have to be a little careful when we're looking at a smaller set of data that the numbers can get a little bit skewed just because you might have 1 or 2 trades that kind of skew it. Looks like I lost a day here, so anyways, doesn't have to be perfect. So day of the week. All right, so that gives you some good info about the days of the week and kind of the way I'm going to approach it. All right, so Monday morning, I'm going to be a little more conservative. What about time of day? All right, so time of day here, interesting. We'll go into 30-minute block. So there it is. So the windows that I trade predominantly is between 7 a.m., which I did really well between 7 and 7:30, and until about 11. Now, you can see, and this is kind of interesting, that I actually did really well at the top of the hour at 7 a.m. And I think that what was going on here was we were sort of in a stretch where each day, most days, we had some stocks that were looking really, really good coming into 7 a.m. So I was sitting down at like 6:45. I was pulling up my top gainer scanner right here, and I was seeing already we've got stock up, 300%. And so I'd pull that up, but most retail traders are kind of sitting here at the starting gates, not able to trade, right? So if I pull up my, I've been working on this series of my broker comparison. So I'll just make it a little bit bigger so you can see better. So let's see. So based on time of day, what was I looking for? Oh, right. Extended hours. So this could be this column right here. So extended hours, so Robinhood, Schwab, E-Trade, TradeStation, Fidelity, Interactive Brokers, a lot of these brokers don't start until 7 a.m. You can't trade before 7 a.m., even if you want to. So as a result, you just figure you've got all these traders that are just sitting at the starting gates. They can't trade until 7 a.m. And so even if you have a great looking setup at 6:30, there's just not enough people that are going to buy it that's going to actually work. So, but then all of a sudden, 7 a.m., boom, starting gates open, and that's where we get that move. So in a way, 7 a.m. is the new 9:30 opening bell. That's when traders really start trading. And of course, it's also when companies will put out news. So breaking news headlines can come out top and bottom of the hour. So we got a lot of great 7 a.m. headlines this month. No, that's coincidence. Some months we have them at 8 a.m. or 8:30, or maybe my best trade of the month will be a 9 a.m. breaking news headline. Like that just is sort of the luck of the draw, the time the news comes out, and it will skew the metrics for that particular month. But nonetheless, pre-market is still, that's my focus, and unfortunately had a little bit of a setback between 10:30 and 11 on one day, one particular trade, but that's okay. I think I'll be able to get back to green in this window as the year goes on. But this also corresponds to my distribution of trades, where I traded the most kind of right at that 7 a.m. window of breaking news, and then I traded a little bit less. But again, it's just based on when we had news that came out. So, but I also got some nice trades between 9:30 and 10 a.m. We had a couple really good ones this week, right? This week we had SGN on Wednesday. This one gave us breaking news at 9 and squeezes at 9:30 right here from 350 up to 7. So that was an awesome move right there. Then we had another one on Thursday. I can't remember the ticker off the top of my head. And then Friday we had a little bit more. So that was great to see. So we had some good momentum at the opening bell, because there are still some traders who actually don't understand how to even trade pre-market, right? They pull up their orders and they're like, I want to trade pre-market. So I'll just drop this down for you here. So this is my Thinkorswim account. So they're like, I'm trying to place the order, but it's not going through. I can't, it's just sitting there. It's just sitting there. Well, you got to change it to extended, right? You can't trade some of these brokers. You have to change the time and force to extend it. And if you don't change that, then your order's not going to go through. So then you're just sitting there twiddling your thumbs, not understanding why your trade's not going through. So you still do have a lot of traders that sort of start at 9:30, but that's they probably end up trading earlier once they figure out how to do that. Okay, so time of day, day of the week. We got that. Check, check. All right, now let's talk about the price stock that I did the best on, between 2 and 5. Between 2 and 5. So here's the thing about stocks between $2 and $5. So number one, it is just sort of the luck of the draw that we had some really good breaking news catalysts on stocks within that price range this month. But there's something else I like a lot about that price range. So what do we know about stocks that closed the previous day under $3? Their halt levels will be every 20%. So if you refer back to my episode on circuit breaker halts, just to give you a quick overview, stocks that close the previous day below 75 cents, they halt every 15 cents. Stocks between 75 cents and $3 halt every 20%, and stocks 3 and up halt every 10%. Oops, 10%. Now, so that means a stock that opens, that closed the previous day at 4 and is currently trading at 5 will halt up at what price? $5.50 at the open, and it'll halt down at $4.50. So unfortunately, your halt levels are relatively tight, which is not ideal for after the 9:30 opening bell. Of course, this is only after 9:30 a.m. You don't have halts pre-market. But these stocks here that open the previous day or close the previous day between 75 cents and $3, they're going to have wider halt bands. So even if the stock closed at $2.50 but is already now up at $5, its halt up is going to be all the way at $6, and its halt down is at $4. So you have so much more room where these can continue to squeeze as the day goes on. So that's one element of this price bracket. And a second element is that at this price, I can afford to buy more shares. So I'm trying to be aggressive in a hot market and capitalize on the opportunity. And what does that mean? Trade more frequently, increase the quantity of trades, and increase the share size. So when we talk about going and putting yourself on a positive feedback loop, what we often talk about, to first contrast this, is the negative feedback loop that many beginner traders experience, where you're a beginner. So I'll just do a picture of like a baby with like one hair. And you start trading and immediately you lose money. And you're like, wow, that was hard. And you're really sad and you're really frustrated. And so what do? You immediately want to not feel sad anymore. So you take more trades. You take more trades, but you don't know what you're doing. So you lose more money, right? And then you get even more upset. And then you take more trades. And now you're capitulating and you're spiraling, just like that football team in the last 5 minutes of the game, throwing like 5 interceptions in a row. All right. So how do we break this cycle? It's by focusing on quality. So A+ setups. You trade A+ setups, and what's going to happen? You're going to have a higher rate of accuracy. Higher rate of accuracy naturally is going to mean more profit, and more profit means more confidence. So now you're going to feel confident increasing the number of trades and increasing your position size. And what does that mean? More profit, right? So now you're making more money. So this is the positive feedback loop that you can be on, but it requires, at the very beginning, focusing not on money, but on quality, and being willing not to trade if there's not anything that looks good. So for me, because I've been on this nice hot streak, and I know you guys sometimes will complain, Russ, you never do red day recaps. I do red day recaps. I told you at the beginning of the year, you can expect a recap from me every day this year. You got one every single day last year, and you will get one every single day this year. I haven't had a red day yet this year. Now I will get, and there's no question I'll have red days this year. It's only a matter of time. I just haven't had one yet. So anyways, I'm on a nice hot streak right here. And so it's giving me the conviction and the confidence to take bigger size. So 10,000 shares, 15,000 shares, 20,000 shares, 30,000 shares, 40,000 shares. I had a couple 50,000 share positions this month. A 50,000 share position on a $3 stock. I mean, it's a decent amount of money in the trade, but we had enough stocks that went from 3 to 350 to 375 to 4 to 450 to 5, where all of a sudden with 30, 40, 50,000 shares, you're locking up 20, 30, 40, $50,000 pretty quickly. So I'm going to tell you right now that I don't want you to expect that you're going to get there overnight. That's not the way it works. It takes time. If we go back to that interview that I did with Justin, he had a daily goal of $5 per day. I'm just going to put this in a new window so you can just look at it. So his daily goal was $5 per day. And he last year had the best year he's ever had trading, and he locked up about $200,000 in profit. So that's Justin, $5 daily goal to over $200,000 in a year. And you've probably heard Danny's story. Danny has a very similar story. He started with a $5 daily goal as well, and he scaled up to last year. Gosh, I have to check to see where he finished, but it was somewhere in the $300,000, maybe even $400,000 range. So start with where you're at right now, being consistent, focusing on locking up base hits. And even if you're only pulling out a small amount of profit on each trade because you're trading with smaller size, that's okay. Let me prove that point. Let's go in and actually look at a comparison of my winning trades and my losing trades, so you can see how many cents per share I'm making on each of these trades. We'll just go back to the last 30 days. That's not perfect for the month of January, but it's fine. So we're going to do the losers there. We're going to do the winners here. So how many cents per share would you guess that I make on my winning trades? Now guess without looking, just guess. Some of you are probably thinking, oh, 50 cents a share. 50 cents a share. Wrong. Not even close. 11 cents, average. Now, of course, I had some trades that were bigger. You look at the biggest trade, I'm sure it was 50 cents or $1 share. But average, 11 cents per trade. Average losers, 9 cents per trade. All right? So we're not talking about, we're not talking about huge cents per share. But as you gain more confidence, you could take larger share size. So essentially, 11 cents per share producing $1,800 means my average position size was 18,000 shares, right? That's how that math works out. So 18,000 shares on my average winning position. Now my average losing position being 9 cents a share and $900 means on my average losers, I was only in with 10,000 shares. So you might also say, Ross, how the heck do you get so lucky that your winners are 18,000 shares and your losers are 10,000 shares? Well, remember, I add to winning trades. So if I have a setup that I like, and let's say we're looking at one of my favorite setups where we've got a stock squeezing up like this, hitting my scanners, right? So scanner alert, scanner alert, scanner alert. I'm waiting for the pullback. It dips down. And maybe right here, we get a little bottoming tail. And I say, you know what? I'm going to take a starter here of 10,000 shares. I'm going to buy this dip with a stop right here. Why? Maybe this is 350, psychological support. So I'm going to get in at 355. So I'm at 355. Now it goes up here, first green candle makes a new high, and what do? Some people would just sell, but in a hot market, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to add another 10,000 shares up here, 375. So now I've got a 365 average, right? And it goes up to 375, 380, whatever the case is. Now I've got 20,000 shares, and I lock up, let's just say, well, this isn't going to be exactly 11 cents, but let's just say, 11 cents there. But with 20,000 shares, because I scaled into it, right? And then maybe it dips again, we get another little dip, and then I do the same thing again right here. Whereas if this had been a loser, where I add here and then it immediately drops, I'm only in with that 10,000 share starter, so the loss is smaller. So that's an important skill that you'll need to learn about how to scale into winning trades so your winners can become bigger, and of course, how to cut your losses very quickly. So if you were trading this month, you were focusing on learning the strategy that I trade every single day, and you took, more or less, trading the same stocks, but you're trading with only, instead of 18,000 shares, so I was trading with 18,000 shares. So if I was trading with only 1,800 shares, my average winners would have been 180, right? If I was trading with 180 shares, my average winners would have been 18, right? If I was trading with, well, you wouldn't probably go all the way down to 18 shares, but you get the idea. You could if you wanted to. And you could be like, I'm trading with 18 shares, and my goal here is to make, 18 cents, and I'm just going to track it. And if I, at the end of the month, have made, X amount of dollars, then what I know is that that was my proof of concept. So start small, build your proof of concept, and then increase your share size as you gain confidence. All right, so now let's go back to the details. So we've looked at price and volume. So the majority of the profit came between 2 and 5, but did well between 5 and 10, and did okay between 10 and 20, and then didn't trade too much above that. So, for the most part, sometimes we'll see these stocks, and we had a few of them this month, and we had a couple yesterday even. DXF, higher price stock, very volatile, big halts. These are risky. These could be very risky. DWTX, this is another one. You mess up on something like this, it's going to hurt. It's just, there's no way around it. These have huge spreads, big swings, big whips. So I didn't trade much of that stuff. I didn't feel confident trading it. And so anyway, so kept the price a little bit lower there. And then instruments. So the stock I made the most money on was ALUR, $47,000. The second biggest was SGN. The third was EVAX, and then AMOD, DGNX. Okay, so let's move this to the side right here. And let's just do a quick check on these different stocks. All right, so ALUR, this one, biotech. All right, so ALUR, almost positive it's biotech. Let me just double check. Yeah, so ending obesity. All right, so biotech on ALUR. SGN, this one was kind of interesting. This one, not a biotech stock. Excuse me. It's a tech company, but kind of surprised that it worked as well as it did. It's just sort of a tech stock. All right, so that was SGN. EVAX, this one's a biotech stock. AMOD. Now let me let me remember what was AMOD. Again, a tech stock, data-driven technologies. All right, U.S. company. These are all so far U.S. companies. And then DGNX. This one's Hong Kong. All right, so we got one Chinese stock there that's in sort of my top 10. And it doesn't even matter what it does because most of these, but it happens to be blockchain and it's a Chinese company. All right. NLSP, pharmaceutical. JG, this is a Chinese company. XPON, sorry. What is this one? I can't remember now. This one, oh yeah, this is like green RV and marine stuff. I don't know. But anyways, okay. So that's kind of a tech stock as well. BLRX, biotech, INM, biotech, pharmaceutical, DXST, China stock, right? So what's the theme? Biotech and China stocks for sure. And with a couple of tech stocks in, weaved in. So how do you think I would react if on Monday morning, the leading stock on here is a petroleum company, is an energy stock? I'm probably going to think it's not worth trading. It's an energy stock. Let's get real. This is not going to go, I mean, it could, but it's not likely. Now, yes, during 2022, there, and we have had periods where energy stocks have made big moves, but unless there's a sector-wide catalyst, it's not to be expected. So, so that's not going to be something I would trade. It's kind of, you got to understand the profile. All right. So now we're starting to talk about that profile, and we know price for sure is between 2 and I would say 15 right now. All right. Sector is biotech, tech, and China. That's what's working the best right now. All right, so we know this right now. And then time of day is 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pretty much that's the window. And this is all Eastern Standard Time. Day of week, whatever. We'll just do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I'll make Friday just a little smaller because that's going to be more typical. Okay. All right, so now we've done a breakdown of the stocks that I made the most on. So let's look at the performance by the instrument's volume. So I made the most on stocks that ended up having over 25 million shares of volume. Now, they don't need that much volume when I take my first trade, but this is the volume they had by the end of the day. So that means some of these losers here, I jumped into something thinking it was the one, and I was wrong, and I took the loss on it. And it wasn't the one, and it never got volume. So if I'm in early, because I'm one of the first people to see the stock with breaking news, then I've done a really good job. So how do I do that? Well, SGN on Friday, right? So this one was pretty straightforward. Had breaking news that came out, and all of a sudden, just like that, I'm jumping on it. So I see it hitting my scanners right here. I see the news feed right here, and then I'm just looking at the chart. So I'm using tools that enable me to see these stocks in real time. Now, by the way, if you come over to Warrior Trading, you may notice that we've got our annual Groundhog Day sale going on. And this is a flash sale that ends on Monday. So Groundhog Day is a special sale that we've always done here at Warrior Trading. This is my birthday week. I was supposed to be born on Groundhog Day, but I was born on the 4th. So my birthday's coming up this week, and I also had my biggest red day of my entire career on my birthday. So I'm going to be very, very careful on Tuesday, not to have a repeat of that. But anyways, we've always done this sale here. So, and the name of our groundhog is Phil. We call him Partial Phil. And you probably get that joke. So anyways, so you guys could check this out if you want to. But so this is a flash sale that's going on right now. For those of you guys that joined the Warrior Pro Special, you will have a 7-day money-back guarantee. So you'll have basically access for 7 days to really give it a try and see what it's like. Now, many of you have already done a 2-week trial, so you already know what it's like. So this is just extra peace of mind for you. But in any case, the Warrior Pro Special includes 1 year of access to my stream and 90 days of access to Day Trade Dash and 90 days of access to our real-time trading simulator with level 2 data. So this is Day Trade Dash. My stream is, of course, right here and opens when you click on this when I'm live streaming. And so you'll have that for a year, the chat room and my stream, and then you'll have Dash, Day Trade Dash, the software, the tools that I use every day, and the simulator for 90 days. So you could check these out if you're interested. You'll see that was a picture of me on the news. Ranked best comprehensive day trading course by Investopedia and best day trading course by Business Insider, and I am a contributor for Entrepreneur. You could see some of these different. We've got featured profiles of a number of these students. So Danny's featured profile here. You could see his video, the interview that we did together. You could check these out if you're interested. Anyways, I just wanted to mention that before I forgot. Okay, so so then back to here. So 25 million shares of volume by the end of the day. Okay, and then performance by instruments relative volume. All right, so I do the best when the stock has 5 times higher volume today than its 50-day average. And you know what that means. But for those of you guys who don't, it means the stock has 5 times higher volume today. Why would it have 5 times higher volume today than its average? Because there's a news catalyst. So let's look at SGN as an example of this. So SGN on Wednesday, when it came out with that first headline, had 97 million shares of volume. 97 million shares. Are you kidding me? That is incredible volume. What was the previous day's volume? 106,000 shares. That was it, 100,000 shares. So the average daily volume of the stock was 100,000 shares. That was it. And then it trades 97 million shares of volume. Now, when that happens, it's a really big deal because you don't have people holding from these days who are going to sell into this move. This just hasn't been traded at all. Nobody cares about it. And then suddenly everyone cares about it. So when, Tesla or Netflix or one of these companies have a big day, because they always trade on decent volume, There's just people that are ready to sell right away and take profit. But that's not the case with these types of stocks, not typically. Now, there is one problem with these types of stocks. And for those of you guys who trade with Interactive Brokers, you know what that problem is. The problem is called Rule 144. So Interactive Brokers is the only broker that I have heard of that enforces Rule 144. Rule 144 says, why are some of the reasons why microcap stock trading may be restricted in my account? Potential affiliation to issuer. So Rule 144 volume threshold says the number of shares you may sell during any 3-month period in the security cannot exceed 1% of the outstanding shares of the same class being sold, or greater than 1% of the average reported weekly trading volume. Wait a second. So what's 1% of 100,000? It's 1,000 shares. So the average weekly trading volume of the stock was only 100,000. So that means anyone trying to sell more than 100,000 shares at Interactive Brokers is potentially getting flagged by Rule 144. And this is a rule. What is this rule for? This is a rule for affiliates. Who's an affiliate? An affiliate is someone affiliated with the company. Are you affiliated with a company? No, you're not affiliated with a company. So the problem is Interactive Brokers assumes everyone is an affiliate, and you have to affirmatively say that you're not an affiliate. And they won't let you sell until you do that, which means you're held up in compliance. But the problem is you had no problem buying. So they let you buy, but they won't let you sell until you confirm you're not an affiliate. So this is a major problem with Interactive Brokers, and it's why on my broker comparison doc, Interactive Brokers currently is essentially not usable. Interactive Brokers IBKR Lite or IBKR Desktop, that platform's super basic. But even Interactive Brokers Trader Workstation, I would say it's 4.99. And anything below a 5, I wouldn't trade with real money. Now, this could be an 8 or a 9 if they take away Rule 144, enforcing it on everyone. It could be. But this is just my score based on could I use this broker for trading small caps? And the answer right now is no. It's very close if they get rid of that rule, but until then, no. So that's a problem. But anyways, so a little bit of a tangent. But going back to the performance by volume, I do better trading stocks that have that big swing, that big imbalance, where they were trading on basically no volume, and then all of a sudden they're trading on huge volume. So let's jump back onto the whiteboard. Relative volume, 5 and up. Now, 5 and up just means 5 times higher. But if we actually look at some of these stocks, some of them might trade on relative volume of 100, 200, 300. I mean, some of these are really high levels of relative volume. Now, let me just check the time because I do have something that I need to do. Let's see. All right, that sounds good. That sounds good. Just send a text message. All right. So I got a little bit more time. I just bought myself some more time. All right. Let's keep moving forward. All right. So now I think we've got more or less a pretty good profile of the type of stocks we want to focus on. Price, sector, time, day, relative volume. Well, maybe let's get one more in there. So one more that we should throw in, which is worth throwing in, is, let's see, instrument by opening gap, 2%. Okay, so the stock has to be gapping up for me to trade it. Now, there are a couple of exceptions to that, but for the most part, it needs to be gapping up, which means during the pre-market session, it needs to be moving higher. So now let's start to talk about the watch list for Monday morning. Okay, watch list for Monday morning. So this is kind of what I'm thinking right now. At this point, what worked the best this week was focusing on the leading gainers right here. So I can pull up my scanner right here of after hours top gainers, and we can see SOPA, SOPA, PRTG. These were some of the after hour top gainers, but they weren't up big. They were only up like 20% on Friday. So it's not big after hours gainers, not enough to like really probably get people excited for Friday at 4 a.m. or for Monday at 4 a.m. So now let's look at the continuation scanner. All right, so continuation scanner here. Of course, we have some stocks that made big moves. We could look at some of these and ask, is the daily chart really set up for a continuation trade where, we should look for day two? Or maybe, a first daily candle make a new high. I wouldn't say so on TCTM because it pulled back too much. TECX is too expensive, so I'm not going to trade that. DOMH, the price is fine, but it's got lighter volume. PCLA floats 20 million shares. That's a little higher, not going to work. TOI floats too high. So now we've got a few where the floats are too high. ATHE, this one's got an 8.8 million share float. It could work, but you've got that higher volume red day. It needs to get back up over 6. I wouldn't even touch it unless it gets back over 6, because here's the problem. This stock will have an issue where it had high volume a couple days ago, and now when it comes back up, there are people that were not as disciplined as maybe I am, or maybe some of you are, that instead of cutting their losses on it, they held, right? So what's going to happen when the stock comes up? They're going to sell, right? So they're going to put out their sell order. And so now you're going to have resistance coming back up until you clear out above the high of where any potential bag holder is caught. So that's going to be a problem on that one. So nice idea, but I don't think it's going to work. REBN, this one made a big move on Friday, gave it back, most of it, probably not going to work. Daily chart is a big shooting star. So the continuation scanner, the after hours top gainer scanner, not really giving us anything to work with right now, I would say. So at this point, I would say the game plan for Monday morning is watching this scanner right here. And I'm going to sit down around 6:45. I'll open the broadcast just before 7 a.m. And I'll be looking to trade what is, if there's something that's obvious. If there's nothing that's obvious from this perspective here, then there may not be any trades right at 7 a.m. And instead, we'll be waiting to see if there's breaking news at 7 a.m., which would be fine. So if we get some nice breaking news at 7 a.m., we can work with that. No problem. Breaking news at 7:30, 8, 8:39, all of that's fine. And then going into the opening bell, there'll be a little bit of a question of, okay, what's obvious? So if we have something that looks really obvious going into the open, then I might take some trades at 9:30 as well, because that paid off quite nicely this week. We had, I think it was AMOD on Thursday. So yeah, look at this one. This was incredible. So look at this squeeze. All right, so Thursday, this is already strong pre-market. We've already broken the ice and traded it. And then at 9:30, boom, squeezes up, halts up, opens, dips, and rips up again. This went from $3 to $6. You do that with 20,000 shares. Holy smokes, that's a $60,000 winner. Now, I didn't take it with that kind of size or hold that long. I locked up about 30, what was it? I can't remember what I did on Thursday, but I think it was 32,000. So let's see. Yeah, 32,000 on Thursday. So, that was a solid day. So I will be looking to add profits at the open when we have something that's got momentum that's looking really clean. So I think what you should plan for on Monday is to make sure you're using your top gainer scanner, watching for what's obvious right here. Of course, you want to make sure you're on real-time market data. I know some of you guys who are trying to use free tools, I get it, but most of those free tools are going to be delayed data. So you're going to be a little bit behind the ball. So just make sure when you're looking at charts, you're seeing real-time data. Make sure when you're pulling up level 2, you've got real-time data. Now, some of you guys asked me to do a review of Robinhood, and I've got Robinhood over here. I am going to do a review of this soon. This is Robinhood Legend, but we've got a little bit of a problem with Robinhood, and the problem is this platform, as it sits right now, is lacking some very critical things. You want to know what it's lacking? Robinhood. It gets a score of 1 on my raw score. It's a score of 1 to 10, so I guess you could get a 0. I didn't think of that. But it's the worst scoring of anything out there right now that I've reviewed. You don't have paper trading, which isn't great. But more concerning on this is you don't have hotkeys. I'm going to put that in red. So you don't have hotkeys, and you don't have level 2 data. They don't have level 2 data. So no hotkeys, no level 2 data. Right here, I just don't know how you're even supposed to work with this. These are the 3 windows that you get on Robinhood Legend right now. So you get positions, chart, watch list. So the only way to buy is to click and then to manually, guys, I'm going to tell you, if you're trying to trade momentum, and you're using the wrong tool, it's a problem. Now, sometimes I have this story of if you've ever been on the, boardwalk, like in Santa Monica, California, they've got the boardwalk there and you could ride your bike on it. And you see people sometimes with those big, big tires and they'll ride in the sand, right? So they're riding in the sand. But then sometimes you see these guys that are like in the the suits for road bike, and they've got those tires that are like this big, and they're all like dressed up for road bike, and they've got these like $5,000 bicycles. They're very fancy bicycles, but if you try to ride that bicycle in the sand, what's going to happen? The tires are going to sink in. You're going to fall immediately. And so I'm saying this because it's about having the right tool for what you're doing. And if you're trying to use Robinhood Legend or some of these brokers where you're trading on your phone to trade fast-moving momentum, it's not going to work. You're going to be behind the ball. So if you're really trying to keep up in that game, in the game that I'm trading every single day, you need to make sure you're using the right tools. So I would encourage you to check out Warrior Trading. Of course, you can have access to our scanners and our charts, everything else. And you can use our simulator, which is the type of tool that professional traders are using every single day. You've got hotkeys, you've got level 2. You can move in and out of the market quickly. It's really crazy. You can be unburdened by what has been. Was that what it was? You switch to a software that's direct access where you can be moving quick. It is literally like a weight off your shoulders. It's crazy how fast you can trade. It's almost unbelievable. So for some of you guys who've been using sort of off-the-shelf, commission-free retail software for a while and potentially struggling, I would question whether or not you're using the right tool for what you're trying to do. So something to think about, and you could, so take it for what it's worth. And those of you guys who are in the comments on YouTube, throw comments out about what your experience is with some of these different platforms, what your experience is with Warrior Trading, if it's a good experience or not, what your experience is with Webull, with Schwab, with, Fidelity. I tried Fidelity as well, and I was not impressed. I don't know how you guys do it. So anyways, you guys can check out my broker reviews. If you haven't checked out the Webull episode, that one is already uploaded, and Webull actually scored pretty well. It is a Chinese company. That's the only thing. It's a U.S. branch, but it's owned by a Chinese holding company. But you could check that out if you're interested. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. I'm excited for Monday morning, so let's try to have a great start to the month. Having a great start to the month means Monday morning having the patience to wait for what? An A quality setup. So now we know what A quality is going to look like for Monday morning. This is what we're looking for. All right. So now we've got the profile, and we just have to, hunker down, be patient, and wait for that stock that meets that profile. And then wait for that stock that is currently meeting the profile to show us one of our go-to setups where we can buy with low risk, right? We want to make sure we're managing our risk and maximizing our upside potential. Those of you guys that want to check out a 2-week trial, you could always do a 2-week trial. You could do it for a couple days, and you'd at least have one full day in the trial before the Groundhog Day sale ends. So check out the trial. Link will be posted in the top of the comments, and it'll be posted next to the Groundhog Day sale. So they'll both be posted in the top of the comments and in the description. So make sure you guys check that out. Thank you for tuning into this special episode here today, a little bit of a longer one. So thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate it. So reminder, as always, look, trading is risky. My results aren't typical. Please manage your risk, take it slow. And if you want to check out a couple other episodes, I'll put links to them right here on this screen. All right, I'll see you guys bright and early Monday morning.